You are tuned into the Dr. Tina Show with Dr. Tina Moore. For more, visit drtina.com. On this episode of the Dr. Tina Show, I'm going to dig into something a bit scandalous, and that is your mineral sunscreen a complete scam? Because recently I've been looking into the key ingredients in mineral sunscreens, and I've been breaking down their zinc oxide and titanium dioxide content, and I think a lot of us are being scammed. So without further ado, let's jump in. All right, so how did all of this start? I recently had a basal cell carcinoma taken off from underneath my eye, and I have another one on my nose, and it's on the left side of my face, and I am notoriously not a sunscreen wearer. I love the sun. I firmly believe that the sun gives us life. I also think you can do sunning wrong. And I have had my fair share of time scorching myself in tanning beds, grew up in Southern California in the 80s and 90s. You can imagine. I mean, we were literally, my best friend and I joke to this day, we were putting Crisco out of the canister. The trans fat, disgusting, large substitute our parents would cook our food in. I was putting Crisco on my body. We were spraying sun in our hair, sometimes even Clorox bleach to try to get it to bleach out. Yes, we were those girls. Lots of baby oil, Johnson & Johnson's baby oil. We did all kinds of things to try to emphasize our tans. And anyway, basal cell carcinoma, right? So I have a whole episode called Safe Sunning I will refer you to because we're not going to get into that today. This is not about whether you should use a sunscreen. That's not what this episode is about. And I'm not even going to get into the chemical sunscreens and what my issues are with them. These are the UV chemical filters. I talk about that a bit in the other episode. It's an older episode. I want you to go back and listen to it. None of this is medical advice. You decide what you need to do after you discuss your current history and past history of sun exposure with your dermatologist. I will tell you that the food you eat and your overall health and your solar callus or the exposure you have to morning sun, midday sun, and later day sun all matters. That's why I've been telling you guys for years to go out first thing in the morning and get a quick walk in. Do it again in the afternoon when the sun is at high noon, and then do it again in the, golden hour as the sun starts to wane, as the sun starts to set. You're getting a whole different light spectrum at each time. Those three things work together synergistically to actually help protect your skin overall so that when you do get that midday sun and you're getting those UVB rays, which we need so desperately in order to make vitamin D, that we are not just blasting our DNA. I've talked to very, very smart people in the peptide space. I've talked to very smart people in the longevity space. And so many people tell me the sun's melting your DNA. The sun's going to kill you. The sun's going to give you cancer. The sun's going to age you. Okay. Well, I have been baking myself in the sun for as long as I can remember. And unfortunately, living in Oregon, I don't get sun very often. I do think this intermittent sun blast that I get, where I'm like, no sun for 3 months, go to a sunny locale for a couple days because I have business there, spend some time outside in the sun. I think those intermittent sun blasts are so much worse for you than just living in the sun. And this is the reason I'm moving to Arizona, which a lot of you have been wondering. I'm moving because I need to get daily sun exposure. Those first 30 minutes, first thing in the morning, are probably the most critical, in my opinion, for overall health and vitality. And I fully intend on utilizing it to the fullest. In fact, I sent my realtor over to the house that I made an offer on because I wasn't in town when I made the offer. And I said, I need you there at 8 a.m. because I need to know what the sun's doing in the backyard at 8 a.m. Like, that's critical. Actually, more like 7 a.m. But he was gracious enough to head over there in the morning and tell me what the sun was doing throughout the day. So anyway, very important. You guys can go listen to me talk a bit more about that over on the other episode. You can hear me talk about chemical sunscreens and my thoughts on them. I don't care what you guys do. I don't care how people choose to protect themselves or not protect themselves. I'm not a huge fan of slathering my body in sunscreen. I have started using sunscreens on my face because of photo aging. Literally vanity, you guys, photo aging. And no, I don't like getting Mohs surgery and I don't like having little bits of my face cut off, but I've been having moles cut off my body my entire life because I have weird atypical nevi. And my mom, who stayed out of the sun her entire life, has the same weird atypical nevi, and she gets the same amount of crap cut off of her every year as I do. So like, sun, no sun, whatever, I'm going to take my chances. Do I have some sun damage on my hands and on my chest? Absolutely. That's what lasers are for. So, do not, everything I share about how I like to do things or how I prefer to do things or what I want to do, none of it's medical advice for you. None of it. It's just me. And when people say, what do you advise? I don't advise shit, you guys. I'm not your doctor. I'm not your doctor. I'm here for educational purposes. I'm literally just telling you what I know, what I've learned, what I care about, what I don't care for. It's up to you. It's never me saying, because I don't do this, I think you should follow the lead. I know you want it to be that simple, but that is not how this world is. We're all different. We all have different risk tolerances. We all have different risk factors. You need to make decisions based on what's best for you. It has nothing to do with what I do. People say, how do you advise that I eat? I don't. I tell you how I eat. You can eat however the heck you want to eat. I don't care. I literally don't care what you guys do, choose, or don't choose to do. I don't. It's none of my business. And how I do things is none of your business, but I share it with you because this is the job I've chosen. So I want to let you know that up front, that if you choose to go out in the sun and you are concerned about skin cancer, that is the risk you're taking. I'm not as concerned about skin cancer. Although I have the basal cells, those are very benign types of skin cancers. I know it sounds bad, but basal cells generally stay very surface. They don't metastasize. I think it's like less than 1/10% actually metastasize. They are destructive. So they will ruin your face. That, the vanity factor is a big one for me. So I don't feel like ruining my face. So I get them cut off quickly. But it's, the squamous cells, higher risk of metastasis. Melanomas, of course, we don't want. But, oddly, there's too much data out there showing that melanomas may have very little to do with sun exposure and much more to do with your genetics, trauma. I've heard and read about so many different hypotheses, and some of this has been studied. Melanoma has less to do with your sun exposure than it does with your genes. So with that, we're going to jump into why I think we're all being scammed by a lot of these mineral sunscreen companies, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so this all started a few years ago. I have been working on this episode for a long time, you guys, because I wanted to make sure I had my facts in order. I was looking into mineral sunscreens, and I was looking at zinc percentages. The reason why is because a few years ago, I realized I had some low-key rosacea, like really low-key. And I know that zinc is very helpful for me. So I started using baby butt balm. You'll laugh. A diaper rash cream. I started using diaper rash cream on my rosacea, on my skin. And I've always sort of been obsessed with zinc. Like zinc is probably my favorite mineral. And I have always been obsessed with topical zinc. I think it's just such a miraculous healing agent. It does so many great things, good topical zinc. It's expensive. It's hard to come by. I used to make my daughter's diaper rash cream when she was a baby. I was so obsessed with zinc. So anyway, zinc oxide is a very cool topical therapeutic agent, and it also blocks the sun. So there's no such thing anymore in the world of sun skincare as sunblock. We're now calling it sunscreens. And there's chemical and there's mechanical. Mechanical would be your zinc oxide, your titanium dioxide. Your chemical would be all like the homosalate, the octosalate, avobenzone. You're going to see all those on the back of many sunscreens that you purchase and that you probably have in your house. I'm not going to talk about chemical sunscreens today. I am personally not a fan. You can do what you like. There's a great account. I will refer you to her name. Her account is called Lab Muffin. I think she's a PhD toxicologist. She's very intelligent. She breaks this down. It's kind of like arguing, certain factors in medicine. Doctors just, it doesn't matter how many facts somebody presents. Somebody's not going to come over to that side and vice versa. I think she does such a beautiful job of breaking down the science of it. I still don't want to use chemical sunscreens. So Make of that what you will. I'm not going to use them. I don't want them. There's enough data to convince me that they're probably not our best friend. I'm going to stick with my mineral sunscreens. I'm okay with that. And I'm going to use mineral sunscreen on my face or on my chest or on my shoulders. If I'm out in the sun for too long, I am a big shade user. I like to use clothing. I like to use shade. I haven't really gotten into hats, but I have learned over the years growing up in Southern California how to utilize the palm trees and how to use the shade of trees and how to get out of the sun and how to use umbrellas. I am not a go out in the sun and bake yourself kind of girl, but I do like to get sun exposure. And so that said, sometimes I need a little bit of a sunscreen. And I definitely have been using a mineral sunscreen on my face for a couple of years now, most notably because it acts, if you get a good one, it acts as a primer and you can put makeup over the top. I don't wear makeup very often, but when I do, I like to have it look smoother. So I do think there's some utility there. Doesn't matter why I use it. I just wanted to explain that I'm probably putting it on my face more often than not. And so that is going to dictate some of what I'm going to share with you because I'm using it under makeup. That said, I was looking at zinc oxide percentages, and I came across these sunscreen booster chemicals that are not quite the active ingredients in the chemical sunscreens that I choose not to use, but are very close cousins, if you will. And they are being snuck into many mineral sunscreen formulas under the guise of the inactive ingredients. They're not actives. And so let me explain the difference here. The active ingredients, when it comes to sunscreen, a couple rules apply. There's active ingredients, and those have to be cleared by the FDA. And it's this whole process. And in the United States, whether it's chemical or mechanical, there's only a few options. And you probably heard this if you've been interested in this space at all. The folks in the beauty industry are very frustrated because in Korea and in Europe, they have access to very cool sunscreen ingredients, and they're probably chemical. So I probably won't want to use them anyway, but they have better sunscreens and they wear better, they work better, they formulate better, and they mix better, they hold better, they stay active longer. And so why don't we get these in the United States? And I think it's somewhere in the mid-90s. That was the last time that a chemical sunscreen was approved by the FDA for use as a sunscreen, as an active ingredient, was sometime in the 90s. So we're way, way behind, right? We're way behind the rest of the world. When it comes to mechanical sunscreens, we've basically got zinc and titanium. So we've got zinc oxide and titanium dioxide. That's what makes you all white and pasty. Now, my daughter and I have been using mechanical sunscreens her entire life because I would never put chemical sunscreens on her. And I personally grew up in a time where there were no sunscreens. I mean, we just didn't. I think we had like SPF 4 maybe in our Hawaiian tropic or something, or a bain de soleil. But I never used anything with an SPF in it. I just wanted the oil, whatever it was, to make me, it smelled like coconuts and it smelled like the beach and it made me tan. I hate the smell of sunscreens. And the reason I discovered these sunscreen boosters was because I bought some mineral sunscreens that were marketed as clean mineral sunscreens, and they smelled like sunblock. And I was like, dude, I can smell it. What is going on in here? There's something is awry. I'll get back to that. Anyway, our chemical sunscreens, this is where it gets tricky. I'm going to try to explain this without losing you. Here's part of the scam. It's actually a huge part of the scam. Not only do we have these inactive, so they're not under the heading of the active FDA approved, we have these inactive SPF boosters in many of our mineral sunscreens that we think are clean, that we're using because we don't want chemical screen, but they are chemical and they are just one molecule away from being the actives that are approved. All right, so that part one is a bit of a scam. Number two, get this. And I shared this in the Safe Sunning episode I did years ago that I'll put in the show notes. And I've talked about this for years. I've been talking about this for 20 years, you guys. UVB, there's different rays out of the sun. UVB is what chemical sunscreens block, mostly UVB. And UVB is responsible for getting your melanocytes to activate, which is what tans your skin and protects your skin against UV damage. And UVB activates cholesterol on your skin and turns it into vitamin D. Okay? You following? So UVB, in my opinion, is very important. The Sunscreen, the chemical sunscreens that have been popularized predominantly block UVB. Now, let's talk about UVA. UVA are the rays that age you, that have been linked to melanoma, that cause the photoaging and the actual damage to the DNA. Very strongly are these UVA rays. You get UVA in the morning and you get UVA in the later part of the day. We need UVA. We just don't need to be blasted with it constantly without the protection of our melanocytes being activated by UVB. Does that make sense? So UVB activates the melanocytes, and it's much more complicated than this, but this is just the kindergarten version. UVB activates the melanocytes, which protects your skin from the UVA. So the UVA gives you the therapeutic benefits without the damage. So you're getting blasted. You think you're spraying this stuff on, or you're smearing it all over you or your children, and you think you're protected. You're using a chemical sunscreen here. I'm not talking zinc. I'm not talking titanium dioxide. I'm talking straight up chemical sunscreens that are in most sunscreens that you're buying, the ones that smell like sunscreen. Those are blocking the UVB, which is blocking your vitamin D production, which is blocking the rays they're most concerned about. And you are basking in unmitigated UVA rays all day long. Okay, I talked about that in the other episode. So we get that out of the way. This has not been improved upon in decades. Now, there's a couple terms you probably have heard, like full spectrum, broad spectrum. You probably wonder how they get these SPF numbers on the bottle. How do they prove that they block, 50 or 70 or whatever it is? This is the dance here, and this is where it all gets a little scammy. So I've made a spreadsheet. I've been all over this. Okay, first of all, the term broad spectrum. This is a legal labeling term. It is not complete protection. So if your bottle says broad spectrum protection, all it means is that the sunscreen provides protection against UVA and UVBs, but it does not guarantee full spectrum protection across the entire UVA spectrum. So we're not getting full protection across the UVA spectrum. So as I said, you are getting your UVB blocked and you are getting blasted with UVA rays all day long. The FDA allows broad spectrum labeling if the product passes a low bar UVA-UVB ratio test. Even partial UVA coverage, mostly UVA2, there's UVA2 and there's UVA1. Even partial UVA coverage, mostly UVA2, which is the less damaging, can qualify. So if you get a little bit of UVA2 coverage, you get your UVB rays covered, you've now got the ability to legally call your product broad spectrum. But the deeper, more aging and cancer-linked rays and photo-damaging rays, the UVA1, these are very often underprotected. You're very often not getting coverage for those. This allows many chemical sunscreens to legally call themselves broad spectrum while still leaving your skin very vulnerable to UVA1 rays. Let's just sit with this a minute. You're slathering your face and your body in chemical sunscreen. I'm not a fan of the chemicals and what they're doing. I'm not a fan of their impact on our hormones. I'm not a fan of their impact to the fact that some of these actually oxidize in the sun. They're vitamin A derivatives and they oxidize in the sun. I'm not a fan of that part. But you think you're doing yourself a favor because the dermatologist told you to put the 2 fingerfuls, right? You're supposed to do 2 full fingers of sunblock just for your face. Sunscreen just for your face, whether this is chemical or mechanical, whether you're using a mineral or a chemical, doesn't matter. You do the 2 fingerfuls. That's a lot of product to be smearing on your face. And that is supposed to protect you. But because it says broad spectrum on the bottle, you're convinced, oh my gosh, it's SPF 70, I'm good, broad spectrum. No, you're probably getting blasted with UVA rays all day. And those UVA rays are photoaging. They're the cancer-linked ones. They go deeper and they're more damaging. That is a huge scam, in my opinion, that I've been aware of for a long, long time, that I've been trying to share with people. People do not want to hear it. So there's one thing that we need to be concerned about. Okay, so now we get to full spectrum. Some of you have heard full spectrum. This is a marketing term. This is not a legal term. This is often very misleading. Full spectrum is not regulated. It's a marketing claim. It has no scientific or FDA-approved standards. Different brands often use it to imply total UV protection, but it's completely unverified. Some use full spectrum to include visible light and infrared, but those claims vary widely from product to product. And there is no test or threshold for what full spectrum means. So any brand can slap it on anything. So full spectrum is a marketing scam. Broad spectrum is a legally protected term, but it doesn't actually have to qualify to cut the UVA1 rays. So true full spectrum UV protection is protection. So UVB is what burns you. That's what pinks up your skin and tans your skin. That's what activates your melanocytes. UVA2 is the aging and DNA damage, and then UVA1 is deep aging plus skin cancer risk. So those are the main rays that we're worried about. Now get this. This is where it gets really spicy. And this is where I was like, dude, mineral sunscreens are such a scam. If you have a mineral sunscreen, I want you to pause this right now and I want you to go get it. I want you to turn it around and it'll tell you active right at the top. It'll say active. That's your active ingredients. If it says any of the chemical sunscreens, this does not apply. But if it's a true mineral sunscreen, especially if it's marketed as clean, and I'm going to go through some brands here in a second that I put on the spreadsheet. I've really dug into this. If it says zinc oxide and it's less than 18%, it's not protecting you against UVA1 either. The only thing in my research, and please tell me if I'm wrong, but the only thing that I have found scientifically that blocks UVA1, truly blocks UVA1 rays, is zinc oxide above an 18% threshold. So write that number down, 18%. If you're using a mineral sunscreen, titanium dioxide is irrelevant here. If you want to block UVA1 rays, which are the deep rays, the photoaging rays, the rays we do not want, the ones linked to the scary cancers like melanoma, you need to use zinc oxide at 18% or higher. All right. So pause there, go check your bottle, see what you're using, and see, does it have 18% or higher? If it does, it probably has a little bit of a white cast. And going back to what I was sharing about my family, my daughter and I, always using mechanical barriers or, the zinc oxides, really, is that we called them the corpse bride sunscreens because they leave a white cast all over you, kind of a shiny white cast. And so, they were not as elegant as they are now. And they didn't disperse as well as they do now because zinc oxide is very difficult to get into something that doesn't look like a corpse bride outfit. So we would slather ourselves up on trips to Mexico in these like heavy zinc oxide, not like white, not like the cool zinc we used to wear back in Southern California in the 80s, like that was blue or pink or whatever, not that, but truly a sunscreen. Like I think Badger makes a good one. There's a couple of them out there. But it leaves like a white cast, right? And it's hard to get off. So they've come a long way. And I think the ones that we're using more cosmetically for the face are much more elegant than they used to be. But if it's not 18% or higher and it's boasting to be broad spectrum, it's saying broad spectrum on the bottle, you're not getting UVA1 coverage. So if you're using a chemical sunscreen, you're not getting UVA1 coverage. If you're using a zinc oxide mineral sunscreen that's less than 18%, you are not getting UVA1 coverage. Add to that several of these mineral sunscreen companies have added these UV boosters, which are actually cousins of the chemical sunscreens, but they're in the mineral sunscreens being touted as clean. That is such a scam. And in many cases, these mineral sunscreens had zinc oxide of like 10%. So they're way too low to get anything done. And they block the UVB and they block some of the UVA too. And they have these fakey UV boosters in them that smell like sunscreen, that smell like chemical sunscreen, and are being marketed as clean and mineral by some of your favorite clean brands. Like, if that is infuriating to me. When I figured this out, I went to my husband. I was like, dude, I have just uncovered the biggest scam. This is such a scam. And I don't know why no one's talking about it. I mean, maybe it just took me being nerdy. And maybe I'm completely off the mark. But if you Google minimal zinc oxide percentage for UVA block or UVA screening, you're going to see it come up anywhere between 18% and 20 to 25%. Google will tell you 20 to 25, but I found data from an older study showing 18 was adequate. So somewhere between the 18 and 25% mark is where you need the zinc oxide to be in order to get actual full spectrum coverage, full broad spectrum coverage. Truly, to block out the UVA1 and get your skin protected against, remember, UVA1, if it's beating through you and you have no UVB activation of your melanocytes, you're just getting blasted with potentially the most cancer-causing UV rays that we have. Isn't this bonkers? This is bonkers to me. Okay, let's move on. There's more, but wait, there's more. All right, so quickly, chemical sunscreens. We're just going to blast through them real quick here. The chemical sunscreens and UVA1 conversation is quite unreliable. Most chemical sunscreens in the US do not fully protect against UVA1. As I've shared with you, here's why. Most FDA-approved chemical filters are UVB focused, right? They want to block the rays that burn the skin and make you pink. So we've got oxybenzone, that's partial UVA, but very weak and controversial due to hormonal disruption. We've got avobenzone, the only chemical that hits UVA1 decently. So avobenzone, if that's in your chemical sunscreen, there is some decent UVA1 coverage, but it's unstable in sunlight and it breaks down rapidly. This is crazy, you guys. So you're getting told that your chemical sunscreen, back to the chemical ones, is broad spectrum or maybe full spectrum, which is just a marketing term. And it's got the avobenzone and you're like, okay, I'm good because there's some UVA1 coverage there. It breaks down in sunlight like that. That's why they tell you that you have to reapply your sunscreen so often. You're supposed to reapply it often, very often, you guys. So you've done a full face of makeup. You go out for the day. You're at an outdoor wedding for the day, or you're hiking or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why you'd hike in makeup, but some influencers do. So you've got your full face of makeup on and you're at an outdoor event and you're supposed to run in and put 2 more fingers full of sunscreen on your face? Oh, no, that's just not going to happen, right? So you dust on some of the powdered sunscreens and you think no, those don't do much either. Just stop. You're not getting the coverage you think you are. So avobenzone, remember that one. It breaks down rapidly and is unstable in sunlight. It needs chemical stabilizers like octocrylene to stay effective, many of which are irritating or toxic. So we've got octinosate, we've got homosalate, we've got octosalate. These do nothing for UVA1. They're purely UVB. And when you get into I'll tell you the biggest ingredient to look for this is what started all this. When I found this in my mineral sunscreen that I was using the Kosas. You know, Kosas claims to be like one of the cleanest makeup companies on the planet. That's their big claim to fame is like, we're clean and we're great. Total side note, but years ago, I worked with them as a brand deal and they sent me some makeup samples. And while they were lovely, the concealer smelled like nail polish. And I was like, well, this isn't that clean if it smells like nail polish. So I threw it away. But then I, years later, bought this Sunbeam. It's like a tinted mineral clean sunscreen and it doubles as a primer. And so that's their big sales point is like, oh, it's easy. It's like a cute little bottle you can travel with. They make little tiny travel ones. And I still use it occasionally because it is a great primer, but it's got this butyloctyl salicylate in it. And this is the loophole. It's not listed under the actives because it's not an FDA approved UV filter. So it's listed under the inactive ingredients, like I said earlier, and it's a very close cousin to homosalate and a very close cousin to octosalate. Octosalate and homosalate are actives, FDA-approved actives. We've already talked about them. These are just different sizes. So the butyloctyl salicylate, why is it in there? It's in there because they can list it as an inactive. They don't have to tell you it's a chemical sunscreen because it's not officially a chemical filter. It's not a FDA-approved UV filter. So they don't have to disclose. And it boosts the SPF rating. So when they go to test it, it boosts the SPF rating. And so a lot of these UV boosters that are in there, particularly butyloctyl salicylate, that's the one you want to look for. That I've seen it in multiple now that I'm looking for it. It boosts their rating so they can put SPF 40 or 50 on the bottle or whatever it is. It allows them to get that rating up so that it looks to the consumer like it's going to cover the client more readily and more effectively. But they're using a chemical, a close cousin to a UV filter, chemical version in a mineral sunscreen that they're marketing as a mineral sunscreen that's clean. So scammy, Koses. There's a couple other companies. I'm going to throw them all under the bus here in a minute. All right, I just want to make sure I get you everything that you need before we jump into that. Let's quickly talk about titanium dioxide. So just a quick rundown. Remember, UVB protection is what most of the chemical sunscreens are covering. And we get excellent coverage of UVB from titanium dioxide. We get excellent coverage with zinc oxide at much lower than 18% on the zinc oxide. UVA2 protection. These are the shorter UVA rays. We get good coverage with titanium dioxide. We get excellent coverage with zinc oxide. UVA1 protection, that's the deeper ones that we're worried about. We get minimal to none with titanium dioxide, and we get absolute best in class and broadest coverage with zinc oxide at 18% or above. Remember that. So titanium dioxide does nothing to cover you against the UVA1. So you might have a mineral sunscreen that's mostly, if you look at the percentages under the active ingredients at the top of the bottle on the back, many of them actually, I've gone through many of them have really high percentages of titanium dioxide, very low percentages of zinc oxide. They go on kind of, you've got that white cast and you're like, oh, I must be getting really good coverage. Titanium dioxide is doing nothing to protect you against UVA1, which is the one I would like protection against. Both of these help boost SPF ratings. The thing with titanium dioxide is that it blends really, really well. So it gives you a soft focus finish in the final product and it blends very easily, whereas zinc oxide can be chalky or leave a white cast. So that can be problematic. Color matching. Titanium dioxide will often be used in the tinted mineral sunscreens for the face because it actually helps even out the tone, is what I understand. The zinc oxide, they will often mix in iron oxides, but it's less sheer. You get more of that corpse bride look. The titanium dioxide is very inexpensive to manufacture. The zinc oxide is much more expensive. Marketing buzzwords that you're going to hear for both are mineral, clean, non-toxic. Photo stability, both are quite stable in the sun. I think zinc oxide seems to be more stable, according to the research I did. The drawbacks is obviously the titanium dioxide is going to give you incomplete UVA protection. So you've got the photo aging risk, and the zinc oxide, you get corpse bride. When you start getting into 18% and above, you start getting a white cast. So without further ado, let's jump into some of these sunscreens so I can tell you who's doing what. And I didn't include everything. I literally went through and the minute I started researching sunscreens, I started getting a ton of ads for sunscreens. So I picked the ones that targeted me the best. I figured they're targeting middle-aged women who also shop makeup online, who probably have some photo aging, So I just went after the ones that were targeting me, and boy, did they all come. They all came to me. And then I picked a couple because I have the bottles of them in my, in my cupboard or in my vanity. I have used them in the past. And then others I picked because I had heard of them and I had kind of seen them around and wanted to see. And then a couple of them, actually, my dermatologist, there was little samples sitting in her lobby. So we're going to go through all of those. Just remember, titanium dioxide, great cosmetic feel, full UVB protection, partial UVA, but not full UVA1. Zinc oxide is true full spectrum coverage protection, including UVA1, but at a higher cost and often more visible on the skin, so harder to formulate. And a note about formulation, something I have learned along the way is if you have let's say you have a mineral sunscreen that you love, but it's a bit thick for you. So you maybe mix in some of your moisturizer with it. You've now negated it. Not so much for the mechanical, because you did just decrease the zinc oxide percentage concentration in there. But especially when we're talking about the chemical ones and the formulations, I guess from my understanding of following many of these dermatologists online who have their own skincare lines, formulating a sunscreen is really challenging, especially a very nice one. And it is meant to be used as it is. So you put your 2 fingers worth on your face and you leave it alone and you let it set. You don't put on a bunch of layers of stuff, and while it's still wet, you add the sunscreen and then you put stuff over that. The minute you sort of reformulate it yourself with your other products that you're using, you maybe have changed its SPF protection. I don't know if that matters to you, but I just wanted to share that. I thought that was interesting. They are meant to be used as they are. They're not meant to be mixed up or cut with something else or cut with your foundation, because maybe you're trying to create more of a sheer look or whatever with your foundation. Leave your sunscreen alone if you truly want the sunscreen benefits, whether it's chemical or mechanical. Leave it alone when you put it on. So anyway, so what have we covered so far? We've got people putting titanium dioxide in their zinc oxide mineral formulas because titanium dioxide formulates better. It allows them to claim mineral still, and it's much cheaper, and it can boost the SPF rating. So lots of reasons to add titanium dioxide. That doesn't mean that they get to skimp, though, and cut the zinc oxide formulation back below 18%, because we just lost protection against UVA1. And we've also established that we've got these UVA boosters that are being used. Most notably, the one that I'm most concerned about is the butyloctyl salicylate. That's the one I've seen most commonly. And I'll tell you which ones I found it in. So that one is used to artificially boost SPF. It undermines the 100% mineral claims. It acts as a chemical booster for SPF. It really is a chemical screen. It's just not officially, because it hasn't been FDA approved. It mimics oxalate, and it helps dissolve the other chemical UV filters. Brands will often use the butyloctyl salicylate to claim 100% mineral, because when you look under the active list, it is only minerals, but this is listed under the inactive. All right. Okay. So let's talk about my favorites. So what I did is I looked at, how many products? I looked at 31 products. I evaluated 31 products. I went to their website. I looked up their zinc oxide percentage. These are all ones that claim to be mineral sunscreens. That's all we're going to cover. I looked at their titanium dioxide. I looked at if they had any chemical sunscreen actives in them. And then I looked to see what their butyloctyl salicylate content was, or if it was in there. And if it is, it's usually pretty high up under the inactive ingredients. The order things go is how much there is of them. So if it says water is the first inactive ingredient, there's a lot of water in that product. And then, 2 or 3 down, you'll get the butyloctyl salicylate. But some companies I've actually seen, they're not touting themselves as mineral sunscreens, and they're not really trying to sell you as a clean sunscreen, but they're not even using actives. They're selling you a sunscreen-like product. They're not really calling it a sunscreen. And they are listing no actives. They don't have any actives in there. They don't have any of the chemical actives or the mechanical actives, but they do have the butyloctyl salicylate as their first ingredient. So they're using that as a sunscreen. So that tells me that it is an active sunscreen. It's just not FDA approved, so it can't be listed under the actives. It's a fakey, if you will. It's a fakey sunscreen. So I looked at 30 some of these, and then I ranked them. And what I did is I pulled every single one that I thought was popular, that I've seen ads for, that I've used, etc. And I put them on a list, and then I grabbed only those that were 18% or above in the zinc oxide category, and I put them over on another sheet. And I'll tell you what those are in a minute. But I do want to tell you some that are not. First of all, Color Science Sun Forgettable Total Protection Face Shield Flex SPF 50, super popular one. I see people talking about Color Science all the time. People love it. It's like it goes on white and then it color matches your skin, and everybody raves about it. It's only got 12% zinc oxide in it and a whole lot of chemicals. Really long ingredient list. So forget color science. They're out. La Roche-Posay, it's Anthelios Mineral Tinted Sunscreen for face with SPF. Love this company. I do. I love a lot of the products they make. They've got a tinted shade and they've got a medium plus shade. The tinted shade has no zinc oxide in it and contains 11% titanium dioxide. The medium shade has 8% zinc oxide and 17% titanium dioxide. So are you getting UVB protection? Probably yes, but are you getting any UVA1? Absolutely not. Ilia Super Serum Skin Tint, 12% zinc oxide. I was really bummed about that. That's a great product. It feels good. It's got a good, slick to it. Elta MD UV Elements, only 9% zinc oxide. It's sold as a mineral sunscreen, but it's got, I can never say this, octinoxate, 7.5%. So it's got a chemical sunscreen in it. Australian Gold Mineral SPF tinted face for fair to light. Australian Gold Mineral SPF. You're like, oh, it's a mineral SPF 50. 4% zinc oxide, 4% titanium dioxide, and no chemical sunscreens that I could find. And I was like, what? Like, what the hell is it protecting? Supergoop Mineral Matte. Everybody loves this product. Close. 17.42% zinc oxide. It almost made the list. It's too low though. And it's got 1.33% titanium dioxide. I know that's a fan favorite. You're not getting quite enough in there to block out the UVA1. Let's see. This one bummed me out. Mychelle, Mychelle, Mychelle Dermaceuticals. I've used this product for years. The Sun Shield Liquid SPF in the light to medium. It's a tinted. 16.20% zinc oxide. Not enough to block out the photo aging. And it's got butyloctyl salicylate in it. So Mychelle Dermaceuticals, you failed me and I've been using you for years and I will not be using you any longer. Here's another one, Mad Hippie. I thought, well, this certainly must be clean. It's called Mad Hippie. It comes in a glass bottle. So does the Mychelle. It comes in a glass bottle with a dropper and you're like, oh, this is super clean, right? It's only got 13.5% zinc oxide and it's got the butyloctyl salicylate in it. So I think that is a scam. Personally, that's my opinion. Agent Nature, the Holly Sun, the SPF 50, the tinted skin drops. Love Agent Nature. Love those products. Love Jen from the owner of the company, but it's only got 12% zinc oxide. So it's not quite cutting it. But it doesn't have any of the fakey boosters, no UV boosters to scam us. It is a very clean product overall. It just doesn't have enough zinc oxide for my use, for what I want to do. Alastin, that's a big company, right? In the anti-aging space. Alastin, they have a Hydrotint Pro Mineral Broad Spectrum Sunscreen, SPF 36, 3.4% zinc oxide and 8.9% titanium dioxide. Like, what are you doing? That's not helpful. If all you're trying to do is block a tan, then great. But if you're really trying to block out the rays that are causing the photo aging, which is entirely the point of a anti-aging skincare line like Alastin, then why would you be putting in such low amounts? I'll tell you why. It's because from what I have read and understand, it's really hard to formulate something and overcome that white zinc oxide, corpse bride look. Here's a product. There's a company called Rosacea Care. I love their products and they have a zinc O cream. It's like a tinted, it's beautiful. It goes on beautifully. It feels beautiful. My rosacea loves it. It only has 14.5% zinc oxide though. So, and it's got parabens. I'm not even going to go into all the ingredients and all of these. You guys can go look them up yourself. Like pick your favorite one and go look it up. And now you'll have the tools you need. But you don't want parabens on your skin. And then let's see. What are some other big bummers? Neutrogena. Got this little packet. Got 3 packets from the dermatologist. I got a Neutrogena Mineral UV Tint Face Liquid. I got a Neutrogena Mineral Invisible Daily SPF 60 Plus, and I got a Neutrogena Ultra Sheer Face Liquid SPF 70. The SPF 70 is 14.4% zinc oxide, 6.6% titanium dioxide, and it's got butyloctyl salicylate as its 5th inactive ingredient. So I didn't even open that to feel it. I did test out the other two. They have silicone in them, and so nice products actually. Really great price point. The Neutrogena Mineral UV Tint Face Liquid and the Neutrogena Mineral Invisible Daily SPF 60 both have 21.6% zinc oxide. So they well qualify to cover all of it, right? We got really good, full, broad spectrum, truly. Really nice products, a little bit of titanium dioxide in there. Very thin feel, the kind that kind of goes on shiny. It has silicones in it though. I didn't like how they wore, but they were beautiful and the price point is fantastic and you can get them at the drugstore. So those two were great, but their Ultra Sheer Face Liquid SPF 70, it failed for me. CeraVe. I'm sad about this. I really like CeraVe. Like I'm not a true, I don't always go hardcore on the super, super clean. I think CeraVe does a very nice job of, La Roche-Posay, CeraVe, Cetaphil, Vanicream. All of those are really affordable drugstore brands, and they make some fantastic products that are mostly clean and quite good, honestly. A lot of the natural things with essential oils irritate the heck out of my skin. But anyway, CeraVe Hydrating Mineral Sunscreen. This feels great. It really has it's tinted. It has a really nice feel. And I was so excited when I got the sample. It kind of goes on a little shiny, right? It's a little white casty, but just give it a second. It dries down to a really nice, if you just put your sunscreen on and leave, walk around your house, leave your makeup mirror and come back in 10 or 20 minutes, it's going to look very different. And so this I was so excited about. I got the little sample I was like, oh, it's mineral, great. I turned it over and looked at it. I was like, oh, titanium dioxide, zinc oxide. Now I can't see very well because the print's tiny and I need to I'm that old. I have to put my camera on in the magnifier to read ingredients on the backs of little tiny things. But I was sitting there waiting for my derm and I put it on my hand and I was like, oh, I love this. I'm so excited. It feels good. It dries down really beautifully. I could see this being very nice under makeup. It does have a little bit of a white sheen, but this is no product. There's a little bit there. 10% zinc oxide only 10%, and 5.5% titanium dioxide. Wah, wah. So this one, no, I'm not going to use it. Then I got this one, Tizo 3. This was also at the dermatologist's office. Tizo 3 Primer Sunscreen SPF 40. I thought, fantastic. This is going to be great. It's got a primer in it. I put a little bit on my hand. You can tell it has dimethicone in it. I like dimethicone, you guys. I'm not afraid of it. It doesn't really absorb. I like things with dimethicone. Makes my skin feel good. I could feel it in there. It's got a nice, just a nice feel to it, as many primers do. It's only got 3.8% zinc oxide and 8% titanium dioxide. So it's not blocking much of anything. So that's a bummer. So that one's out. And then MD Solar Sciences. That's another one that I see going around. MD Solar Sciences. You'd think MD Solar Sciences Mineral Cream SPF 50. I was like, sweet. It's only got 17% zinc oxide, so it doesn't make the cut. It's got 2% titanium dioxide, so not very much. And it's got the stupid butyloctyl salicylate in it. So those are the bummers. So let's go into the winners. I'll tell you who they are. First off, I haven't tried all of these, but I have tried many, and I'll tell you how they feel because I think that matters. There's a company called Les Duets or Les Dutes. I don't know. I'm not French. I don't speak French. It's LES, like les or Les Duets, DUETS, Shield of Helios. I've seen ads for this. The bottle's beautiful. The ads are beautiful. It looks really cool. I haven't felt it yet, but it's got 25% zinc oxide in it. And it's not super cheap. So I have a feeling that it's probably got a nice end feel to it. I haven't felt it myself though. It has a lot of natural ingredients and it's got some citrus in it. So that might aggravate some people's skin, but it does have some really cool ingredients in it. It's clean. It's not necessarily elegant under makeup. I don't know, because it's got such a heavy zinc oxide, 25%. So some of these you might want to use on your face when you're going out for a day of sporting or hiking and you're not wearing makeup and you don't care. Some of these you know, if you're a dude, like my husband, he's a farmer, like we definitely want to put something on the forearms and on the bald spot on the head and on the face and on the ears and on the neck, right? And so this might be a really nice product for that, but I don't know how it goes under makeup. Dr. Few Tinted Mineral Sunscreen. I own this. I love it. I think it's like $75 or $85 for a bottle. It comes in a black glass bottle. Super nice. Not great for travel, but beautiful product. I use 3 pumps, probably supposed to use more, but it's got such a nice feel, you guys. It's so worth the money if it's something that you can spring for. I think this is beautiful under makeup. It does a great job. Very small ingredient list. Even the actives list is quite small. So we know that usually means it's cleaner if it's not got like a laundry list of garbage in it and chemicals. So I'm a fan. Very clean, very light, very decent under makeup. It's not cosmetically elegant, probably on all skin types. The texture can ball or pill depending on layering. I haven't had any problems with that though. It doesn't have any added peptides or actives, so it is truly just a sunscreen for the most part, not so much a skincare. Some of these are, try to do both, like be kind of a skincare and a sunscreen at the same time. But I think it's a great product. I think it's beautiful. And I think Dr. Few is a Black man, so I don't know how this would go on darker skin tones, but I think it's beautiful, and whether I'm tan or pale, it goes on nicely on me. So I can't speak to darker skin tones. Another product that I love, Sky and Sol, S-O-L, like the sun, Sky and Sol. It's got 25% zinc. It's got very few ingredients. I mean, literally their ingredient list is water, besides the zinc oxide, water, grass-fed, grass-finished tallow. So a lot of people like that. Jojoba oil, jojoba ester wax, lecithin beeswax, Kaith bark, babusu starch, and radish root fermented filtrate. This is not very cosmetically elegant, but it is a nice product. My husband likes it. It's got the tallow, very minimal ingredients. I don't know what's up, Sky and Sol, but it smells like sunscreen, and I cannot get around it. I can't do it. I have 4 bottles of this stuff stashed everywhere because we keep them everywhere. I'm sure that, at some point chemical sunscreens start to degrade when you keep them in your car or you keep them in hot, like a bag that goes to the beach. Mineral sunscreens aren't going to do that as much because there's just straight up like, they're minerals, they're rocks ground down into fine powder, if you will. So I'm not too worried about that, but damn it if it doesn't smell like sunscreen. I don't know why, you guys. I have asked the internet, and the internet has other people, saying the same thing, claiming they've asked the company, and maybe it's just the tallow or the natural smell of the tallow. It smells like sunscreen, which is what brings me to the Kosas Dream Beam. Remember, I said that smelled like sunscreen. I buy this Kosas Dream Beam and I'm like, sweet, it's so great. It's 21.7% zinc oxide. I'm in love. It feels amazing. It looks beautiful under makeup. It's kind of like skincare and sunscreen all in one. It's got ceramides. I love ceramides. It's so nice on my skin. And I turn it over because I'm like, this smells like sunscreen. And lo and behold, there's the butyloctyl salicylate. So do I use it? Yes, I do. I have a little tiny travel bottle that I use. I might use it if I really need my makeup to set nicely, but maybe like once every few weeks. I use Dr. Few at home. That's the one I put on my face every day. If I do, I don't do it. I need to do it more often. I'll be honest. I live on a farm. I'm kind of lazy about it. I don't like go out and bake myself, but I definitely go walk with the dogs without sunscreen on. Maybe I'll wear a hat, But anyway, the Kosas Dream Beam, it hits the mark. All of these that I'm talking about hit the mark for percentage either at or excess of 18% on the zinc oxide rating, but this one's got the butyloctyl salicylate. So kind of a thumbs down there on that one, Kosas. And kind of scammy because they really do advertise it as clean and mineral. I do believe the word clean is somewhere on that page of that product. That's what got this whole thing going. I do like Kosas though. They make some nice products. Clear Stem, You Are Sunshine. I can't use Clear Stem. They were gracious enough to gift me some of their products, beautiful, wonderful products, peptides, all kinds of things. They are a clean skincare line devoted to really helping those with acne. So probably a younger group than me, than my age cohort, but I have not used this product. It is super clean. It is designed for acne prone skin, and it's got a nice inactive ingredients list. It doesn't have any of the fakey UV boosters, and it's 21% zinc oxide. So it fits the bill. And I'm guessing that since it is part of a skincare line, I'm guessing it might be nice under sunscreen. I'm sorry, under makeup. I haven't tried it though. If you want to send me some Clear Stem, I will try it. RMS Beauty Supernatural Radiance Serum Broad Spectrum SPF 30 Sunscreen. RMS Beauty, love it. In fact, I have a foundation from RMS Beauty that I bought, and by the time it got to me, it smelled rancid, which kind of upset me, and I meant to send it back, and the window for returns has closed, so I guess I just got to throw it away. But it told me that it was clean enough that it would actually go rancid, right? So that's actually kind of a good sign. When products go bad on you, I don't know why that one, maybe it got shipped in the heat, I don't know. RMS, if you want to talk to me about getting that refunded or swapped out for something else, I would love that. But if not, that's okay. That's my bad for not returning it in time. Anyway, they're little bottles of the SPF tinted sheer sunscreen. Beautiful, beautiful under makeup, beautiful tint, kind of a long ingredients list. But it looks pretty clean overall. And I can recognize most of the ingredients. I think it's a real winner, and it's got 20.4% zinc oxide. So it fits the bill. It's got some essential oils in there. I don't use it that often because I am a little worried. I don't want to get a rash. Anything with essential oils tends to light me up after a while. It's kind of like I've got to use it for a certain amount of time, and all of a sudden, the little prickly rash develops. So, but I do love it. I think it's a great product. A lot of folks kind of compare the Kosas Dream Beam to the RMS one, and I would say clearly in this case, go with the RMS one. You're going to get plenty of zinc oxide, and you're not going to get the octabutyl or whatever. I've said it so many times, the butyloctyl salicylate. Okay. I got to mention Freaks of Nature. That's Kelly Slater, the famous surfer. I got to mention it because I want to try it really badly. I haven't yet. I haven't bought, I don't know why. I just need to go buy a bottle of it. But I think he put this together after an absolute lifetime in the sun, right? The guy is like, I love Kelly Slater. I'll tell you a funny story. When I was 17 years old, I was 12. He was 17. I was 12, and I was at this, I think it was like OP surf competition in San Clemente. I grew up down there, and I walked in, I don't know why. I was with my best friend, Mia. She's still my best friend. We've been best friends like 40 years. I walked into one of the tents. I don't know what I was doing. I was the shyest, most awkward little 12-year-old girl. And I walked into one of the tents, and Kelly Slater was standing there. He's 17 or 18, and he was changing his clothes. I didn't see anything. He just, where they put the towel around him and they get the wetsuit off. And he looked up at me because I walked in like the back of it. Like I somehow went underneath the flap of the tent. I didn't go in the door. And he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I ran out. I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened. So very awkward. I remember him looking at me and me freaking out, but maybe he didn't. Maybe he just turned his head, and I was so embarrassed. I was like, I did not mean to be walking in on anybody. So anyway, Freaks of Nature, this product looks very promising. It's got some peptides in it. It's got a really nice ingredient list. 18.75% zinc oxide, 4.75 titanium dioxide. So we get a little bit better of that UVB protection, and not sure it's necessarily elegant under makeup. It's more made for the outdoor enthusiast, but this looks like a really great product. And I really like what Kelly Slater does in the world. And I would say go support him any day of the week. He has stood the test of time. You follow folks over the years, and you're just kind of like, some people just don't really stand up to who you think they are when you're young, and you're, kind of idolize these people when you're young. And then y'all get to adulthood, and some of them don't take good care of themselves, or some of them really just kind of go astray. And like, Kelly's on our team. I'll just put it that way. Team Freedom. The Neutrogena Mineral UV Face Tint and the Neutrogena Mineral Invisible Daily SPF 60 Plus, I've already covered those. I really like them. Great price points. I think that they've kind of silicone heavy, maybe not great for acne prone skin. I didn't test them under makeup. I don't know, but nice sheer products for the amount of zinc oxide that's in there. They really sheer out on your skin. Look very nice. They dry nice. Speaking of, my hands dried really nicely. So the CeraVe is nice if it had enough zinc oxide in it. Vanity Cream. Who is a fan of Vanity Cream here, man? Vanity Cream consistently makes the best product at the best price, period. I got on this drugstore kick because I ended up having all these products gifted to me by all these different skincare companies, and they were all natural, and many of them wanted me to work with them as brand deals, and all of them gave me a rash eventually. Some of them gave me a rash right away, and some of them gave me a rash later. It's not their fault. They're beautiful products. They're formulated beautifully. I don't tolerate essential oils on my skin very well. A lot of us don't. I know we want to be all natural, but a lot of times the natural products get you. So I went on a hunt for the cleanest drugstore, just simple bare bone products that I could find. And Vanity Cream consistently delivers. And their products are they're just nice. Like they've got the ceramides, their daily moisturizer, just their plain daily moisturizer, no SPF or anything. My favorite moisturizer. I love it. I love it so much that I was working on formulating a moisturizer, just like playing around with, I got direct access to ingredients and I was trying to formulate something for myself. And I was like, damn it, I'm just going to use the Vanity Cream wins every time and I can add my actives to it. So love it. But they make this beautiful mineral sunscreen. It goes on a little bit white. I don't think it's got a very short inactive ingredient list. So the ingredient list is short. I don't know if it's going to be 100% like for the super crunchy mamas perfect, but I think it's a wonderful product. Very, very good price point. It's got 19.5% zinc oxide. So it hits the point. It dries down beautifully. It goes on a little bit corpse brighty, but it dries down beautifully. My husband loves it. It's great for around the farm. If we lose it, who cares? Because it's like $12 or something, maybe 14. It's got great skin barrier support, which is so important. It's got the ceramides. It's got some really nice ingredients in it. It's got a little bit of dimethicone, just a bit, but it gives it that nice slide. It does go on a bit shiny and white, but it dries down really beautifully. So I have used it under makeup. In fact, this is what I'll use when I'm going like just out and I don't want to have makeup on. This is my first choice, but I think it's a great product. So there you have it. I would say, to recap, I know how Dr. Few feels. I love it. Short ingredient list, great product, might be a bit pricey. The Sky and Sol, I think, is a beautiful product, probably the cleanest ingredient list, the shortest and cleanest ingredient list. This is not probably a under makeup type of product, but it's got the tallow for those of you purists, you know who you are. It does smell like sunscreen though, so I'm a little suspect. The Kosas Dream Beam, I'm not going to knock it completely. I think it does a beautiful job for what it does, but it's got a secondary secondary UV booster in there too called C1315 alkane. That's the second ingredient of the inactive ingredient, so the third ingredient in the product. And then the fifth ingredient is the butyloctyl salicylate. So, that's a hard one for me, guys. You're basically not... it doesn't feel very transparent to me. Clear Stem, You Are Sunshine. I'm guessing that is a fantastic product based on the fact that it has really nice ingredients in it. I wouldn't call them actives, but it's got some really nice all around natural ingredients that I know does nice things for the skin. And it's super clean. And it's formulated for those who have acne prone skin. I love the RMS Beauty Supernatural Radiance serum, broad spectrum. It's skincare, it's sunscreen, it's lovely. It looks great under makeup. I love my Vanity Cream facial moisturizer, SPF 30. Again, it's super clean. It's great price point. It's got the ceramides. It's got that skin barrier support, and it's, no fragrance. Vanity Cream does not put fragrance in their stuff. Neither does CeraVe. That's why I'm kind of disappointed. And La Roche-Posay sometimes has a little bit. I feel like maybe sometimes I smell a little something, maybe not, but If we're going for a good drugstore price, the Neutrogena or the Vanity Cream, I would say, are going to be your choices. And then the one that I want to try really hard is the Freaks of Nature by Kelly Slater. I want to try that. I think that one's probably going to be a nice product, probably more for the outdoor enthusiast, but I bet it's really nice with that titanium dioxide in there. So that's it. I will leave you with that. I hope this was informative and interesting. I think that many of us are, they're not outwardly scamming us, but I think that there is kind of this low-key scam going on in the mineral sunscreen world with the fakey UV boosters that many are using, and with the fact that they're not hitting their zinc oxide percentages that actually have a meaningful screening of the UVA1 rays, which is really what us older gals and what everybody should want. The whole point of sunscreen, really, at the end of the day, if you're not, you can buy into the whole UVB gives you skin cancer because it causes the burning. I am going to go with what I believed all along. And after talking to people, it's really those deep penetrating UVA rays. And if we're not blocking them out, then what are we doing, right? And if avobenzone is the only chemical sunscreen that blocks it, if you're using a chemical sunscreen without zinc 18% or higher, and it has avobenzone in it, just know that gets basically like void and null in the sun after a certain amount of time. So I will leave you with that. I hope you guys found this to be very informative. Please share it around. I hope that people know this. I want everyone to hear this. And then I'll make sure the Safe Sunning episode is linked. Go back and listen to that. I break down the different types of skin cancer in there. I tell you my argument for why I think the sun is really very health bringing. We just have to do it right. I'm not a hardcore stay out of the sun girl, but here I am getting some skin cancers removed. So take that for what you will. Again, this is not medical advice. This is just how I'm doing things. Having adequate vitamin D and having adequate sunlight exposure has a lot of health benefits outside of what our skin is doing. And I will take my chances with my low-grade suntan any day over being pale and sunlight deprived. So I will bid you adieu. Thanks so much for listening to the show. Make sure to review, rate, subscribe, all the good things, whether you're on YouTube, like ding the bell, get yourself subscribed. Make sure that you do it on your favorite podcast player because that helps get the show out to more people. And I'm really trying to bring you guys the truth of the matter so that people can be informed. It's called informed consent before you do things. Don't do things blindly. Don't just listen to influencers. Don't just listen to your doctors blindly. Ask questions, do research, educate yourself because when you're educated, you're empowered. And when you're empowered, you're unstoppable. So I'll see you later. Thanks for listening to the Dr. Tina Show. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and mixed by Mike Fry. Theme song is by John the Guilt. You can watch the full video version of this podcast inside the Spotify app or on YouTube. As always, you can email the podcast at podcast@drtina.com. That's DRTYNA. And if you like this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. You can also find all of my offerings on my website at drtina.com. For more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com. See you next time, and thanks for listening. This podcast is for general informational purposes only. It does not constitute the practices of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. I am a doctor, but I am not your doctor. No doctor-patient relationship is formed. The use of this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's own risk. The content on this podcast is intended not to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions.